All right, my next guest is one of my favorite people to talk combat sports with, and of course is the head coach and owner of VisionQuest Muay Thai in Newport, Maine. Primo Bellarosa is back on the show. Primo, how are you?
I'm good, brother. Hanging in there. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. And we're going to dive into NEF 44 coming. It's right around the corner, August 21st. You got 4 fighters on that card, so plenty to get to and some fights to break down. But first, man, it's been a little while since I have spoken with you. So give me an update on the gym. It looks like everything is going really well.
Yeah, man. Been a little bit. Gym's going good. Got a good number of students. Always looking for more. VisionQuestMuayThai.com. Check us out. Good number of fighters, up and coming fighters. You know what I mean? So practices are going real good for the team guys. Really good core of like dedicated guys on the team, which is always inspiring. You know what I mean? Makes my job a whole lot easier. Like, you know, if I'm not begging guys to get into the gym, which I'm not going to do. You know, these are guys that are asking me for more time. You know what I mean? So it's nice. COVID's kind of lightened up on us, so gym's at 100% capacity as far as allowing people in, and you know, being able to run all our classes. So it's good, man. And it's summertime in Maine. You can't beat that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, for anybody that's watching this that is thinking about coming in and joining your gym, give us a rundown of what the weekly schedule is typically like. I know it probably varies a little bit depending on getting specific work in with fighters that have upcoming fights. Just tell us generally what the week is like for you.
Cool, man. So we typically I train my fighters in the morning. So I don't really have morning classes at the gym. I train the fighters, and then I do private lessons throughout the morning. Weekdays, the gym is going by 4:30 in the evening, and we've got multiple classes actually every hour from about 5:30 until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Luckily enough, I've got a big enough facility, and I've got Josh Harvey teaching at the gym as well. So I'm able to actually run 2 classes at the same time on every hour. So on any given hour, you can have the choice of, you know, you could take a Muay Thai class, or you could take a fitness class. You could take a grappling class, or you could take the boxing class. You know, so it seems that I'm able to offer a lot of options for everybody, which is nice.
That's fantastic to hear, man. And for anybody that doesn't know, you had a very, very successful combat sports career yourself. I noticed just recently you updated your cover photo on Facebook. That's you, right? Back in the day?
Yeah, that's me after a fight. Yeah, a number of years ago. Crazy, I won that fight. By the way. So I actually I have that picture in my office. And a lot of times, you know, you'll get guys that are all gung-ho. They want to fight. And I'll actually show them that picture sometimes and be like, are you sure you want to fight? Because I won this one, you know?
Yeah. What year was that?
My nose was twisted. It was definitely broken, that fight. I think I broke it 6 or 7 times total. So it certainly wasn't the first, and it wasn't the last time. So.
Do you remember what year that was in?
Geez, that was out in San Francisco. That was probably 2001, 2000.
Okay. So you were right in
a younger version of myself for sure.
Yeah, very good, man. Well, it's a very cool picture, so I had to at least bring that up. I also understand that you have a commentating gig coming up soon, July the 30th, the Warriors Cup. It's Muay Thai Championship. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's a pretty popular established Muay Thai show that happens in the tri-state area. They predominantly were doing shows in New Jersey, and every once in a while would do a show in New York. Now they're, after COVID, they're kind of concentrating on New York, which is pretty cool. And you know, I'm a pretty established fighter and coach in that area. So the promoters are good buddies of mine. Big shout out to Chris Tran, James Guccione, good dudes, really good dudes. I can't recommend that show enough for any up and coming fighters, any guys that are looking to get on a solid Muay Thai show. That's the route to go. They're a really good show. I've had guys fight on their show. I've actually had guys that have held their titles before. And they just hired me on to do the commentary, which is pretty cool. Kind of bit of an, old school reunion with a lot of those guys. And, I get to talk about fights, which, I mean, is probably one of the coolest things in the world to do.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, congratulations there. I'm sure you'll have.
I'm also August 7th. I'm going to be commentating on the Triumphant show, Triumphant 12, which is happening in Mexico. So that'll be another big established Muay Thai show, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm sure you'll have many more opportunities to do that moving forward. And boom, there you go. You have another one already lined up. So life is good.
Yeah, not too bad at all. I mean, it's fun to be busy. It's more fun to be busy doing the things you like to do.
For sure, man. Now, before we dive into NEF 44, I wanted to get your take on the outcome of the Conor McGregor Dustin Poirier trilogy. Obviously, the way that it ended with Conor being injured, that's not what any of us wanted, but Dustin looked really solid in that first round. A lot of people felt he won it 10-8. And I'm kind of confused as to what Conor was saying about how the second round was going to be his round. I don't know what changes he was going to make. It didn't look like he was winning. He was going to be able to make any changes to win the fight. Give me your overall assessment.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think, fighters in general, certainly a Conor McGregor, fighters got to say whatever they got to say in order to keep themselves fighting. You know what I mean? And I think that's a little bit of banter from him. He lost that first round. I don't think I would call it a 10-8. But he lost the round standing and he lost the round on the ground. So I'm not, I mean, there was a series there for Poirier standing, where he hit, 3-4 punches in a row. Then there was a quick pause, counter 2 punches that landed, then another pause, and then he hit another 2 or 3. You know what I mean? It was literally, it wasn't an 8 or 10 punch combo. It was broken up a little bit, but in series where Poirier landed 8 or 10 good punches, and every punch that lands doesn't need to knock a guy out to be a good punch. Conor was on the back foot the whole time. And then they ended up going to the ground, and Conor, some people will say, Conor's foot was already hurt when he went to the ground. And so he was a little bit in desperation mode, which, could be the truth. But Conor didn't really show anything on the ground. That guillotine wasn't even close to being sunk. It was just a matter of Poirier popping his ears out. And then he kind of put it on Conor against the fence on the ground, Again, who knows what could have happened in the second round? Maybe that's where Conor feels like, okay, I kind of got my feet underneath me and my juices are flowing and I'm ready to go. But he landed some good kicks in the first round. But I didn't really see anything in the first round that meant the second round was going to be much different. You know what I mean? Mm. That's the way I saw it. I think Connor's chance of winning was in the first 2 rounds getting a knockout, and Conor can knock out anybody on any given day of the week. But if it went past that, it was Poirier's all night anyways. On top of Poirier has the ability to end a night quickly in the first or second round anyways.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Conor here moving forward? Obviously, he has a lengthy rehab to get back to 100%. Do you feel like this is a guy that can tweak whatever it is he needs to tweak and get back and win a championship, or is his best days behind him now?
I want to think that he can, because, a lot of people will look at his record. He hasn't won in so long, blah, blah. Listen, Conor's a killer. You know what I mean? Like, and he is willing to fight anybody at any time. And you have to respect that. And he's beat some good guys, some really good guys. He's beat them, and he's beat them in high fashion. I don't know if he can make the changes to be at that elite level again. Like, everybody will say this, his life's maybe a little too good right now for him to make those changes. The other thing is, I don't think Conor's interested in the type of fights that will build him back to being the fighter that he needs to be. You know what I mean? Like, his ego is not going to let him not be a main event. The other thing is, like, his ego and his purse are not going to allow him to fight anything but marquee matches. So, I really don't think that he'd be willing to take the fights to build back up. Like, that's kind of the way the fight game works. You work up to a certain level, You take a loss, maybe you take 2 losses at that level, and then you got to rebuild. You got to take a couple of steps back, maybe not all the way to the beginning, but you got to take a couple of steps back. And part of that is to build yourself back up, to be able to work on the things that you need to work on to get the correct opponent that allows you to use those things to then build back up to a high level. You know, I don't think him or the people around him are willing to do that.
Yeah, great analysis, Primo. I agree with everything you said. It's going to be really interesting to see what Conor does here moving forward. Yeah. And one thing I will add to this before we move on and talk about NEF 44 is I always used to be, and I still am a big fan of Conor in some regards, but the trash talking, some of the things that he's doing now is just taking a little bit too far. It's like that act's a little played out, and I just wish that maybe he'd dial it back a little bit.
You know, I think the same thing. And the truth of it is, dude, I'm a Conor fan. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I like a little bit of good smack talk. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you can't be the Jeremy Stevens smack talker. He's not good at it. It's obvious that he's just trying to put it on and draw a little bit of attention, and you're not good at it. So don't do it. Just be the tough guy. Conor is actually good at it. You know, now you got to back it up. If you can't back it up, then it's just shit talk and you suck. Conor can back it up. And when he originally came on, you know, he was brash, but he was a little funny. And you know what I mean? You enjoyed his banter. You enjoyed the smack talking that he was giving. And now recently, probably certainly since the Mayweather fight, maybe even a little bit before that, his smack talk has it's taken on like the Mayweather slant, where it's, you know, I make more money than you, and so you suck. Things like that. And now that it's gotten into like talking about somebody's wife and talking about people's girlfriends and stuff like that, like that's a bit much, you know, and especially like you just lost and you're still talking about like, you know, somebody's wife in your DMs and shit like that. Like, dude, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not true. I don't care, you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And hopefully he will learn from everything that he's going through right now and come back the best version of himself whenever that is. All right, let's talk about NEF 44, man. I'm really looking forward to this one. It's down at the Hampshire Dome in New Hampshire, August 21st. And you got Josh Harvey and 3 other guys on the card. Let's start with Josh Harvey. I haven't seen who he's fighting yet. It's not on Tapology. Has NEF announced it yet? Or are we allowed to even talk about it?
They haven't announced it. I obviously know who it is. I've agreed to the opponent. I don't dare mention it for fear of you know, pissing off the powers that be. I have not expressly been told not to. I don't think. I'd have to refer back to a number of messages with Matt Peterson on that, and I'm not willing to run the risk and say, oh, we're fighting this guy, because they want to be able to announce that stuff, and I appreciate and respect that. I will say this: tough dude, established pro, had a number of pro boxing matches, 33 amateur fights. He's an established, experienced fighter. That's you know, dangerous. Brings a lot to the table.
So stylistically for Josh, obviously a win is crucial for him, man. You got high hopes for his future and his career. Are you pretty confident, obviously, that he's going to go in there and get the win at NEF 44?
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, this is it's not do or die, but it's you know, his last fight was a loss, but his last fight was at this point a year and a half ago. You know, COVID's kind of screwed everybody. And so it's time for us to, like, Josh has to get back in the ring. He's gotta get a win and get going. You know what I mean? And so he is totally capable of winning this fight. I don't expect anything less with him. The question would be, does he win it on the ground or win it standing up? But I think he wins it in either place.
Mm-hmm. How's he looking so far in camp? I'm assuming very good.
He's looking great, man. He's a hard worker. He's willing to listen to anything I tell him to do. We just passed, I believe, the 4-week mark of 8-week camp. So, you know, things really start to get hard and get grinding. And I think that like Josh is the kind of guy, he's the kind of fighter that he flourishes in that grind, you know. He likes to be in and be working hard and kind of feeling that fatigue a little bit and feeling that soreness. I think he thrives on that. And again, he's been training quite a bit during the layoff, but we haven't been in camp, you know. During the entire layoff, I mean, at the beginning of COVID, Josh and I were working with each other at least 2 or 3 times a week. Since I opened up the gym, Josh is in the gym for 2 sessions a day, 4 and 5 times a week. So, you know, aside from the intensity of a training camp, he's been training hard and more often and better than probably most guys during this time.
Is this fight at 145?
145. Well, it'll be 146, non-title fight, but 145.
Man,
all right.
I look at that guy, Primo, and I'm like, how the hell does he make featherweight? Is there going to be a change to lightweight? I know he fought at lightweight in the past. Is he always going to be able to make 145 moving forward?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, he's big, dude. He's a big dude. And like, you know, not big and you're like he's big and has abs. You know, not like, wow, you got to lose 30 pounds, but there's 30 pounds to come off. You know what I mean? He's a big kid that like is still lean. At some point, and he's, you know, everybody gets older from where they started. You know, Josh has been in the game 8-10 years now. So that's a lot of physical growth that happens, and getting older, your metabolism slows down a little bit. I think for right now it's 45, and we'll kind of see what the future holds. He's capable of beating dudes at 55, no problem at all. But you know, I think both Josh and I would like to see how far he can take things at 45 and then go from there.
Yeah, very good. Is the Jesse Erickson fight something that he wants eventually, that rematch? Do you think it could happen by the end of this year?
Sure. Who doesn't? You know what I mean? Who doesn't want to avenge a loss? And you know, I said it before when we were getting ready to fight Jesse before and talking to you, we both very much like Jesse and respect Jesse. Who wouldn't want that back? You know what I mean?
All right, very good, man. All right, you got 3 other guys, Tim Murray, Randall Hathorn, and Brandon Oldenburg. Tell me about these guys, and I know that none of their fights have been officially announced yet either, because I haven't seen Tapology, so just tell me how they're looking in camp and what you're expecting from them come fight night.
Bro, first of all, I couldn't ask for a more dedicated group of amateurs. These 3 guys are like, so basically, you know, I moved up to Maine and built my house, and I was working out with Josh and a couple other guys that Josh knew to come in and give Josh good work that I could coach. And I was doing a few private lessons here and there. I think we talked about it, but the majority of my time was spent building my house. And all 3 of these guys contacted me individually. I had no idea who they were. Randall Hawthorne's had 2 amateur fights. Tim Murray's had 1 amateur fight, and Brandon Oldenburg is 0-0. And all these guys seeked me out. They found out I was in town, talking to other people, contacted me on Facebook or through a mutual friend or whatever, and asked me about training. And so I started training them. And now at this point, like they've been training with me for the better part of a year, you know, maybe a little bit more than a year, maybe just a shade under a year. And man, just a committed bunch, same as Josh, in every morning and in the evenings as well. Like they've adjusted their lives and their schedule to be able to make morning practices and then still be able to go to work and then come and train after work as well. Super dedicated, super hardworking, just a really good group of guys too. You know, the same kind of guys that, you know, it doesn't really matter. Hey man, you know, I'm broke down. My tires is blown and it's midnight on a Thursday. They're hopping in the car to come over and help you, you know?
Very good, man. Is one of these 3 guys close to maybe fighting for an amateur championship? Is that something that is in the works?
I hold off on that stuff, man. You know, like I said, one of them has 2 fights, one of them has 1 fight, one of them has 0. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm one of those guys that, like, you know, I understand, especially in the amateurs, string together 2 or 3 good victories in a shallow weight class potentially, and you're up for a title fight, right? I tend to hold my guys off a little bit even if title fights get offered to them early, because I want them really prepared. I want them to be like real champions, not just guys that have beat up a couple of dudes and now they're getting a title fight, you know? And I want them to be able to, you know, in my opinion, if you have the title, you're fighting whoever comes next. Not like, you know, on the way up, you get to pick and choose your fights a little bit, right? But if you're the champion, you're going to fight whoever the promoter asks you to fight, is the way I look at that. And I want my guys to be prepared for that.
Gotcha. Now, this card already is turning out to be a pretty darn good comeback card for the NEF. There's a couple fights that stand out to me. I mean, obviously, Aaron Lacey and Shane Manley on the main card.
Fight, dude.
Yeah, a hell of a fight. And you got 2 amateur title fights, Duncan Smith and Mike Bezanson, and then you got Nate Grimard and Brandon Fevens. Is there one fight out of any of the other guys that aren't on your specific squad that you're looking forward to the most? Like, give me one that you're really eager about.
I'm actually really, really interested in the Aaron Lacey fight. I used to actually train his opponent. Oh shit, what's his opponent's name again?
Like Shane Manley.
Yeah, Shane Manley. Super Manley. Shane used to actually be a part of Bomb Squad back in the day when he was an amateur. And you know, we're still in contact a little bit here and there through Facebook, you know what I mean? We don't really talk that much. But I'm super interested to see that fight, because I've had more experience recent years watching Aaron train and watching Aaron fight. I know in the time since I stopped training Shane, he's gotten his black belt, I believe. He's definitely a brown belt. I think he actually might have got his black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a tough striker. I think Aaron might have the edge striking. But that's a super interesting fight to watch for me based on kind of what I know about each fighter. The other thing is that's at 145. Josh Harvey holds the title at 145. So, you know, that could be a title contender fight as far as I mean, truthfully, either one of those guys could fight for the title. They're plenty good enough for the fight for a title fight. But I look at that as potentially the winner of that fight is Josh's next opponent for a title defense, you know?
Oh man, I mean, Josh Harvey versus Aaron Lacey would be huge around this.
That's a huge local fight, dude.
Yeah, former training partners and friends. Yeah. And oh my goodness, yeah, I wasn't even thinking.
I mean, the script writes itself, right? You know what I mean? And you know, again, that being said, you know, it's the same thing as Jesse Erickson. Like, you know, I know Aaron, I know him pretty well. He's actually like stayed at my house in New York and come down and trained before. I like Aaron a lot. I think he's a super good dude. I know his coach, Chris Young, super good dude. We're good friends. But the truth of it is, like, we don't have to hate each other to fight each other. You know what I mean? And especially, like, you know, MMA in Maine is a small pool of people. If you don't fight people that you know, and if you're friends with a coach and you don't fight their guys, the options get really limited, you know? And like I said, I like both those guys. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't want to beat them with my guy, and we'll buy drinks afterwards.
Yeah. Matt Peterson is watching this right now, licking his chops, salivating that he can put together Josh Harvey and Aaron Lacey. There's no doubt.
I just wrote it for him, right? Yeah.
Man, are you expecting this event to get a lot of fans? Because this is the first time NEF is going outside of Maine. They're going down to New Hampshire. Do you know of a lot of people that will be traveling to attend?
Dude, I know a ton of people right now. I mean, Josh is a pretty big ticket seller locally in Maine. He's gonna sell out of tickets, no questions asked. If you need them, get a hold of Josh or get a hold of the gym to get them through Josh, because he's gonna sell them out fast. And from what I hear from everybody else, they're selling them. I mean, Milford, New Hampshire isn't that far over the border. I don't look at it much different from people that are, you know, north of Augusta in Maine. Any fight that happens in Lewiston or in Portland, that's an overnight trip anyways. You know what I mean? You know, nobody from Bangor is going to drive to Portland, watch a fight, and then drive back home that night. They're all going to stay the night one way or another. And I don't think Milford is much of a difference. I think a really large number of people are going to go down for the fight and end up just staying the night.
Well, man, I can't wait for it. Again, August 21st, NEF 44 in New Hampshire at the Hampshire Dome. Primo, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my man. I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day out on your private island on the lake.
Yeah, right.
To join me, man. Before I do let you go, tell people where to follow you on social media, and go ahead and plug your gym, man.
Cool, man. As far as following me, it's pretty easy. It's Primo Bellarosa on Facebook and Instagram. You can get all your information there. VisionQuestMuayThai.com has all the information. You can also, like I said, go to my personal pages, and you'll find links to VisionQuest on Facebook and VisionQuest on Instagram. But like I said, the easiest place to get all the information is VisionQuestMuayThai.com. That will give you everything: schedule, rates, coaches' bios, things like that, all for the gym.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks again, Primo. I look forward to seeing you soon, my man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.